Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Shot for the Inhibited. My name is Wole Odolate, and I'll be hosting you. Just to give you a good idea of what the show is, we're going to really sit down and discuss just about anything. And you understand how, people are more open to talking when there's drinks involved. So we're really, as you can see. I'll introduce the drink for today, but that's what the show is about. So we're going to, just discuss some general topics. With that said, I want to introduce you to today's hosts or co-hosts. So go ahead and introduce yourselves, because I know you had a plan.
Konnichiwa.
Annyeonghaseyo.
My name is Victoria Funke Alao, whatever you want to call me, Victoria Funke, whatever. It works. People call me anything.
Anything. Open
It
check.
works.
Just open check.
Anything.
Just like.
I don't know her, but I know her. My name is Adetalani. Most people know me as Tito. And yeah, we're excited to be here.
And we have a show coming up.
Yes, it's on YouTube.
Well, it's going to be on YouTube.
Yeah, okay.
We're working on it right now, just working on recording a lot of videos. And it's called Chats and Chops, where we're basically chatting about any and everything. Gossiping, not really gossiping, but just talking.
Yes.
And then eating at the same time.
Yes.
So we're really excited to launch that.
I'm going to be on the next episode.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
so excited
Oh,
about that.
yeah, you guys, you need to watch that episode.
Yeah.
Wale is going to be like, okay. And he doesn't
Feeling something.
You guys always be forgetting me.
Yeah, we're coming to you, Tom.
Oh, yes,
Tom,
and
we're coming
and
to
let's
you.
not forget the man that makes
I'm the
this
program
thing
director.
happen.
Woo.
Yes, yay. Our able-bodied Tokumbo Akinsanya.
So throughout the show of A Shot for the Inhibited, you're going to be hearing Tox's voice in the background.
Yeah.
He's literally anonymous at this point.
Yeah.
So get used to the voice.
He's soft-spoken.
Unfortunately, not the face.
Yes. All right. Okay. So, what are we talking about today?
I mean, no. First of all, I think before we even go into anything, let's talk about each other. I want to know, about Funke, and I want to know about Talani. Just real quick, just tell me about yourself.
So real quick, I am a travel blogger. Well, I don't even know if I want to call myself a blogger. I'm more of a personality because I don't like to blog, right? But I'm a travel personality. I've been to over 40 countries, and I document my travels along the way, take bomb-ass Instagram pictures. Thanks to Tokes. Thank you. Thanks to Tokes, who actually helped me learn the camera and whatnot. And yeah, I'm in the food industry. I'm a regulatory professional. And
Me, what am I? I'm an engineer. People would never know that. As far I'm in the food industry too as well. What else about me? I mean,
we travel together.
yeah,
a lot of times. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And we're
Just the other day, you guys drove to Milwaukee.
you guys, we just drove twice. 2 days in a row.
Yesterday,
I love it.
Yesterday,
Two
Wanda.
days ago,
Yeah,
went to Milwaukee
Wanda, oh my God.
for jerk chicken.
You guys have to taste that jerk
That's
chicken.
awesome.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all of that's going to be online, obviously.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we'll get to see that.
definitely.
All we do is eat,
And talk.
sleep, gist, and drink, of course. Alcohol.
Alcohol is always
friend.
involved.
Alcohol.
That's why
yeah.
we need shots. We need shots. Okay, all right. So let's now jump in. Now that we know you, we know what
Yes.
you're about.
Yes.
Let's jump into the topic. I think Talani, you were the one that had the topic for today, wasn't it?
I mean, I guess there's a lot of things that's
You had a
going
lot of
on.
things on your mind.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Because there's a lot of things that's going on in society, and there's always, I'm trying to put this in
Let me help you
the best
out.
way. Okay, yeah.
Let me help you out.
Yeah.
So I was on Twitter 2 days ago, and then there was a story that came up about the Nigerian artist D'banj, and the fact that
Dyson.
So apparently he raped a girl in 2018, and the girl came out to talk about it in 2020.
Allegedly.
It's so funny
I mean,
how I was
director
waiting
is
for that. I was waiting for that. Like I literally was like counting down
I
to
say
it.
allegedly because me and Tokes and Wale and Talani were talking about this earlier, and Tokes did make a valid point in the sense that we've not heard the D'banj's side of the story, so we can't just jump on the girl's side. But we're going to dice that later. We're going to go into that. So
I love how she just did an 8 mile on you. Was it 8 mile? Right? She put all your points out there so that you know you ain't got
we're
nothing.
gonna jump into that later.
No,
but,
man, go ahead.
Tokes, not Tokes, D'banj raped this girl, and she
Not
came out
Tokes.
on. It's not Tokes.
Not
Actually, the alcohol is
Please, not
kidding.
me.
So he raped this girl, and then she came up on social media and talked about it, and then everybody canceled D'banj, sending emails to all his brands, all the brands that are sponsoring him, telling them to drop him and whatnot. So today, I think I want us to touch on cancel culture in general, because now in our generation, with the advent of social media, anything that happens, the person, like if one person says one side of the story, everybody's canceled.
Yeah, it's race. It happens in race, relationships,
everything.
Yeah, everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
So that is what I want us to touch on, and I think for me, I obviously have my own ideas about the cancel culture.
What's your idea? Okay, no, come specifically to this story based on what you
Based on
heard.
what I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I want to hear a man's side talks. And Wale, let's hear what you guys have to say, because I'm very interested.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So based on what I think the society doesn't make it okay. So in the terms of rape, let's start with that one. Society doesn't give a place for women to talk about rape. So when people are saying that, well, why did she come 2 years later? And when she came and talked about it, it's like, well, the band should be cancelled because he didn't come up and say, oh, I didn't rape this girl, or it was doing things like, for example, posting on social media, like he promoting his song and whatnot, that made him seem guilty. So when you're doing things like that, I think you are guilty and you should be cancelled. That's what I think.
So I haven't really read in-depthly into the story, right? So everybody forgive me, I don't know all of the juicy details. But from what the girl has said, I don't know, I don't see a lie in it. But then also, I'm a very cautious person, right? Because, I always tell Funke, I'm like, okay, there's two sides to every story, like we always say. And then I'm also somebody that likes to give grace to both sides, right? I mean, from the story that the girl has said, I don't know, it just looks bad on his part.
Side, yes.
And I'm not saying that he did it, right? To your point also, everything that he has done right after the fact, and I know everybody's going to come and argue here and say, he was fighting back, trying to defend himself. It's just very
it makes him seem guilty.
Yeah.
It makes him seem
and I'm not
guilty.
saying he is. It just looks guilty.
Yeah.
Before we go too far, I wanted to take a step back. At least my response to this would be the original topic here is cancel culture.
Yes.
And so in that aspect, I want to say that I believe in cancel culture. I think that I support cancel culture as a whole. I do.
You look surprised.
Very surprised.
No, I really do. Now, where I guess there might be some
contingencies.
Yeah, right. It's that it's how it's done.
Yes.
And when it's done.
Yeah.
So when you tell me just jumping in now, when you call situations like R. Kelly's situation, I have not listened or streamed I've not streamed any R. Kelly's music.
Oh, since
For a long time.
Me either.
No, here's the thing. I believe that really has been his weapon.
Yes.
Right. That's been his weapon to be able to keep all of to be so blatant and so whatever about it. It's because I have money.
Yes.
And so I'm going to use that money to oppress people, to silence women and things like that. Like when you see all of the evidence in that case, it's so glaring. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the only way. So I support that. I'm a part of that now. In many cases, I think something just comes up and everyone just carries a pitchfork now, and it's da-da-da. And so there's a balance there. I don't want to say, hey, stop, don't do this, don't react a certain way, don't do that. But generally, I think there would be a problem if we didn't consider the other side of it, right? Like the amount of innocent people that might get canceled, and then even further than that, growth. A lot of cases now, we're going back to 2012, 2011, 2010 to things that people did to basically shut their mouth up now for saying things. But you have to give people room for growth. There's no point in doing all of this if we're not allowing people to grow.
So let's take a step back. So even because he has grown,
this is not
okay.
There's no he here.
Okay.
I'm talking about cancel. I'm talking about. So now we can now go into we can now go into that particular topic, and that's a different.
Right.
Right.
We're going into that topic. So whoever this person is, right? If they have grown, we should forgive them for their sins. I'm not saying
that we should forgive them for their sins. This is so situational that it's hard to say one thing that's going to encompass everything, right? But now, in many cases, you'll find someone that maybe is advocating for women's rights, so to speak, or even something, right? And then you find something that they either did 12, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, and use it to discredit their voice, their voice now, right? And then it's oh, you're contradicting yourself. Is it really contradicting myself, or did I grow? did I have a different set of experiences that changed my view on that particular issue? But yeah.
So, but how do you think the person should handle it? Because I think if that's what you're saying, right? I think if the person has grown, right, there should be the way I would handle it, right? If I messed up,
Handle what though?
like if
Because again, I think we're putting. So now, are you going to a specific topic?
No, just in general.
like let's say if I did something wrong in the
In
past,
general.
Okay,
yeah.
fair.
Jonas,
Makes
let's
sense.
assume like I
Right.
royally effed up in the past, right?
Like Mark Wahlberg.
Huh?
Mark Wahlberg.
Marky.
Mark. Okay.
Let me tell you people something more shooked. I was shooked.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Mark Wahlberg's story, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
We can tell that for people that don't know. I don't know if you've heard, but when he was a teenager, apparently he was caught for a hate crime where he was saying something
Yeah.
like, "Was it kill that nigga" or something?
Yeah.
like that,
yeah,
right?
and also
Yeah.
with he did
Right.
stuff with it, like he was against Asian stuff as well.
Right,
Yeah.
I
against
mean,
Asians, yeah.
and let's be honest, right? I think you're right, with Mark Wahlberg, like the way his career has grown, and even the way he has been as a person, he just looks really, really good. But I feel like at that point in time, if it was me, right, and again, I'm not talking about myself, I would have been like, okay, you know what? I have already
Done this in
done
the
this in
past.
the past. Do you understand? That's not
Yeah,
who I
yeah,
was,
yeah.
and apologize. But I think
I agree.
the problem, like, is most people do not do that.
Yeah.
So that's
So
just
they are
kind of
caught.
like,
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know.
And to be honest, I don't want to sound like I'm also advocating for like growth, meaning that you shouldn't still face the consequences, right? Like I feel like, you know, in a sense, whatever consequence you get, you still deserve, because especially if you got away with it, if it's one of those things where you weren't even really punished when it happened, that I don't think you coming out and saying it now when it's convenient should automatically absolve you from all of it. Like, it's still all situation. That's why I said it's hard to now we can speak on specific topics. So if we wanted to go in on specific, because this is so wide, like it's such a wide topic
Let's do relationship.
that like
you want
right?
to do relationship?
Let's do
I wanted to do
relationship.
rape, but okay.
Okay, let's do relationship.
We could do relationships.
Because that one has its own shady.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So the whole thing about cancel culture is I can't really say I am for or against it, because one, I don't control it. It's really people's opinions around the
That's
world.
what's tough
That's
about it.
one. Two, in some instances, it does make sense. Some people do things that are wrong, and especially if they're not even been punished by the law or whatever, or in situations like racism where you really can't really punish somebody for their opinion. You might just say, "Hey, I don't want to have anything to do with
Where
them."
can I not
But-
punish somebody because of their
No,
opinion?
if I say I don't like Indian people, for instance, this is an
That's
example,
an
guys.
opinion.
This is my opinion.
That's an
And I
opinion.
don't think I should go to jail or do anything because of that.
Why shouldn't you?
But if you don't want to talk to me anymore, associate with me
Right,
because
that's
of that,
on you.
it's allowed, and that's where the
Right.
So
consequences.
wait,
No,
you
but
should-
see, I think
So-
to quickly counter that particular point of yours in a way, right, is that I think that's where cancel culture is different, because cancel culture is also based on opinion, right?
Yeah.
So no one's really saying go to jail.
Yeah, but
no one's
I-
saying
no, but
go to
it's-
jail. So if you say for
because-
example,
But
if you
I
say for
know-
example, I know I get you, but if you say for example that I don't like Indians, I guess maybe not countering, but just to add that distinction is that if you say you don't like Indians, and based on that people say, hey, Tux doesn't like Indians, so we're going to cancel Tux, I think it's also well within their rights.
That's what I said.
Right? No, so I want to separate it. Like, is that when we speak of cancel culture, we're not talking about jail.
Yeah, I know that. I never said that.
The way you presented that, it seemed like that was your reason for not liking cancel culture. It's like,
No,
oh,
I'm saying because I was speaking to what Tolanini said before when it comes to retribution, and people begin to give people second chances. It's easier to give someone a second chance when you know they're being punished or they have kind of gone through something. Right. So if I see someone went to jail, like a good example would be Makovic with the whole animal rights thing.
Yeah.
The guy has served his time. He's not advocate for it. If I choose to cancel him, yeah, but I can see why somebody would choose to forgive him. So that's why I mentioned that part. But that's away from what I'm saying. My issue, especially if we go to what Funke wants to talk about today anyway, the whole rape culture, I do have issues with canceling before you know what happened. So there is
So
this.
no, what's
Wait,
happening?
wait,
What's-
wait.
No, I need to
Wait,
understand that.
wait,
aspect.
wait, let him finish.
Okay.
Let him
So,
finish.
just like in real life, if someone accuses someone of anything, you stole something from me or whatever, a person that has been accused has a right to defend themselves or stand trial. In the whole idea of cancel culture, there is no tribunal, there's no trial, there's no courts, there's no jury. Someone accuses someone of something, you either choose to believe it or not. If I come on the internet right now on Twitter and say, hey, Tolani or Funke stole my wallet, People are like, okay,
That's one person's
yeah,
word. against
yeah,
the
whatever.
next
One person, exactly.
Okay.
Or different case, But when it gets to the subject of rape, and because it's a very sensitive subject and maybe something that's been going on for a long time, I can see people are sensitive to that situation. But I don't think they can circumvent the whole due process. So if someone comes and accuses somebody of something, there is this stance, especially with the Me Too movement going, that, hey, we should believe the accuser. And so believing the accuser means automatically we're not believing the accused. I'll let you speak. And we're not believing the accused. And so in a situation like that now, if you go ahead and cancel this person, especially when the person has a career or whatnot, and you're now going to attack his job and stuff like that, we don't have any basis to know if this is true or not. So that's the first issue.
Let him come to second point. Go land.
Can I
The
land?
airplane
Okay.
is flying. Let it land.
Can I land?
Okay, all right.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so that's my point with that. So it's like we don't have any way to tell, and so we just go ahead and cancel the person, and then that can ruin lives for somebody, especially if they are innocent. So that's my first point. My second point is simple. If we want everybody to come to a common ground on how to deal with the rape culture that exists in society, then I think that can't be the only way to go against it, or to go at it, I should say. So pretty much, if someone gets raped, a lot of them do go through a lot of emotional stress and stuff like that, things that don't make them comfortable to come out immediately. So I feel that, personally, this is just my suggestion, that if you want to try and fix this problem, the easiest way is to get that person to come forward and speak as soon as possible. So women or people or victims having a voice is very important. So I just want to stress that out to begin with.
Thank
but that
you
does not
for being
automatically
advocates for us.
Yes.
Yay!
So I'm trying to link it back to my first point. So, but that does not make it that you have to cancel people just based on the accusations alone.
Let me
So I'll let
challenge you.
speak. Go
Let me
ahead.
challenge you. What if the woman in question went through the situation when she was a minor and she didn't feel the need? She didn't feel like she could talk
Yeah.
about it, and then she thought about it way down the line.
Yeah.
Is your point still going to stand? Do you think she should still
No, but
talk about it right there
my
and
point
then?
is creating a atmosphere where coming out earlier becomes a little easier. So there's really no one way that you're going to fix this problem, because it's an individual problem. Usually, most of the time when it happens to a particular person. So it's pretty much how that person handled it is how this thing is going to get solved. So I don't have all the answers, but I'm saying one way to at least be able to find out these accused is by being able to investigate them. And the further it's away from the time that it happened, the harder it is to find any evidence or anything that will put that person in that situation.
So in the US, for example, there are systems in place where if a woman gets raped, they could just take swabs, and then they'll be like, no, whenever you're ready, that's when we're going to test for it to try to convict the person. But then again, I don't think the society is ready to let women talk in those kind of situations. And I think the repercussion to that, or the way the society knows to support women, is by canceling culture. You see what I'm saying? That's why I am for canceling culture.
Just even in general, let's even take rape out of the picture. I just always feel like women's voices are not even heard.
Right.
That's just a normal standard period, and we're not trying to do one Me Too, Me Three,
So
Me For movement.
what you're saying is going along the lines of what I'm saying, is giving that women that opportunity to be heard. So that's the way the discussion should be, where how can we give women an opportunity to be able to speak
I'm
up
saying, so
without
I'm
being
actually
judged.
negating what you're saying, because I'm saying that there is opportunities for women,
but
just because the society doesn't really necessarily hear us.
So in response to that, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but the thing is, if the society is not hearing you, then you're not in a position then the environment is not conducive for it, right? And so that is still along the lines of the point. The point is to create a situation where you feel that if you do stand up and go out there and present this information and say, hey, this has happened to me,
people take it seriously.
That people are going to take it seriously and fight for you and look into it for you and make sure that you're fine. And until that kind of environment is created, this is including the police officer that searches, this is including your mom and your
Yeah.
dad. That their first question is not why were you out
Yeah.
late last night? Why did you why did you
Facts.
like when you can remove all of these other things and look at the fact that this person just got violated,
Yeah.
right? And make sure that regardless of what you might have done, whether you snuck out of the house, whether this and that, we're going to focus on that and make sure that that person gets all of the
To piggyback off of what Wally is saying, part of the reason why the rape culture is so such an epidemic, I will say, is because a lot of victims never come forward to speak. So a lot of these things go unspoken.
So is what you guys are saying still going to be the same for societies like in Nigeria or in India, for example, where rape culture is very, very rampant, but there's really no way of putting systems in place to have women's voices be heard?
Exactly. So it's going to work anywhere in the world. The problem is different parts of the world are
It's
different
easier for men
stages.
to say.
no. See,
You're
here's the
not,
thing.
you're not listening to me. What I'm trying to say is that different societies are at different points in their own progression. So in Nigeria, for instance, our legislative part and our police force are far behind where you would see in the Western world. So our own struggles are deeper, and then there are things that we need to fix first before we can even get to the point where we're having here. So I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying in general is a system has to be put in place regardless. To make this easy for anybody and everybody, you have to have a system in place. So the fact that there's no system in place is number one issue to begin with. Even here in America, where we do have a system in place, Wally gave an example when we were speaking off camera, where he said in Minnesota, where some people reported rape situations, and they even had rape kits, but none of them were truly investigated. So even though we have a system, the system wasn't, properly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So so that has to be fixed. So as we're seeing that has to be fixed, and we go to Nigeria where we don't even have that system yet, then we should be fighting to put a system in place so that we will take stage by stage or step by step till we get to where we need to be.
I mean, I get it, but I just feel like in the meantime, till those systems are put in place, because Nigeria still has years
Yes.
before they catch up with a lot of this other countries. Nigeria, India, a lot of this third world countries still have a long way to go before they catch up. I think in order for women to find justice, or people in general to find justice, I think that's why the council system is in place for that kind of the council culture, because it protects people that their voices cannot be heard. Because we have years before we catch up with the US or whatnot. You see what I'm saying? So the council culture is a way of finding justice for people who can otherwise not get
And
that kind of justice.
if I was going to give any pushback I'll let you talk, Wally. If I was going to give any pushback, I feel that if a system is not working, replacing with another system that doesn't work doesn't fix the situation.
So you're saying that we should improve that system?
Or create a system where it doesn't exist, or improve a system if it does exist. And I feel we should put a lot of effort into doing that.
But how
I
you
understand
improve
that.
a system if the people who have power are bribing the police and silencing them.
So let's be honest, even you with your point about saying, okay, Nigeria is far behind. Again, I'm not dissing the US, but please, I read one meme of USA's, third world country wearing Gucci belts. The same.
Yeah, but
thing
I
in
get
the
what you're
US.
saying.
Because if you think
Don't-
about it in terms of race, do you understand?
Okay.
Sorry, if you think about it in terms of race, right? If a black person goes and go and report a crime, do you think they'll listen to the person versus the white person?
Exactly.
Yeah, but don't mistake when I say America or the Western world is ahead of places like Nigeria, that America is perfect. So what you're saying is that you're speaking to their imperfections, but they do have a system. Whether the system is working or not working
But the
is
system is
there.
not working.
Yeah, but they have a system. So their challenge now is to try and keep them accountable for what they're doing to improve that system. But it's better than having zero system at all, because that's like what Talani was saying. If there's no system in place at all, then how do we go at people that are accused of rape or
We
any of those?
cancel them. Cancel. All of them. They're all cancelled. Because, no, honestly, I think it's I don't think guys understand what women go through.
Yeah.
No,
Try not to be upset.
the thing about especially those kinds of rapes that make it even more difficult is because of the power dynamics involved. It's usually people in power taking men in power taking advantage of women that are somewhat subordinate or in need.
Yeah.
And vulnerable
Yeah.
based off that. And so that makes that in itself makes it even worse in Nigeria, because there's nowhere else, or not nowhere else, but there's not many places outside of Nigeria where that the power dynamics like that are even more exaggerated. Where like in the case of this now, where we're hearing that the alleged victim here is being taken in by the police officer and eventually by D'banj's manager, and they have her and maybe even torturing her, threatening her, whatever the situation is. We don't know yet, but to the point where now she's tweeting messages
tweeting from her account.
Well, yeah, messages are being tweeted.
Allegedly.
Yeah, messages.
Allegedly. Please don't call me my friend.
Yeah, so let me rephrase that. I like that. So messages are being retweeted or tweeted on her account that completely contradict what she said before this particular situation. So and then when you add that, and I think that's like really one of the biggest things here is that you have to understand that what people are fighting for right now is the power dynamics. You know, it's more between the rich, not more. Sorry, I take that back. But it's between rich and poor, and men and women.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that power dynamics, and so even in
Black
the fact that you might be innocent, there's a 10%, 20%, whatever percent chance that you're innocent. The fact that the way it's going about it is using that same power, that oppressive power dynamic to handle it, to say, hey, I'm going to have the police arrest you because you know what, I can. I have more money than you. I can pay for lawyers. I can do this and I can do that. Right? What can you do? Like that. That's when it's just tone deaf. It's not. You're not being aware of what's going on right now, and that's part of where some of the disappointment comes in. Again, all of this is alleged, right? It's fine. But all of this is still like we're not here trying to say for a fact that someone's guilty, regardless of how we feel. But like going about it that way, I felt like was completely tone deaf. And in a way, I understand the uproar against that, you know.
So,
and I think it doesn't help with this cancel culture, when people come out and say things, and other people are like, "Oh, I know this guy. I don't think he can do that." Or I know this person. I don't think he can do that.
So in their defense, and again, this is me giving grace. In their defense, they're only talking about him based on how they know him. They're not talking about him based on, him, like in that kind of relationship style. I don't even know relationship style is setting, if that's the right word, but based on that. So they're only defending him based on how they know him. But I think we should take a shot, because I think this thing is stressing my soul out.
No, go ahead. I'll pour while you're going.
But Wale has already tried to.
I don't know if we can talk about personal.
As the host, I'm supposed to set example. Part of it is LinkedIn.
Hey, the people. These people are not giving me shots, so I'm over here. I'm over here in the corner dry lips.
We need to operate the camera very well.
Sex is handling machinery.
I'm over here dry lips.
No, because so I want us to talk about,
because I feel like, without saying too much, I've been through a situation where, like an assault situation, and to your point, because I'm the kind of person that I talk. You know me, I talk a lot. And when I tell people about it, people were like, oh, well, the guy is not like that, So, of course, in that kind of situation, the only thing that can protect me is the cancel culture. So it's not like I told, like, everybody, but the few people I told, oh, it's not like that. Or, oh, it's not this.
Yeah. I mean, there was a teacher.
Oh, I don't see him like that.
Yeah, there was a
teacher. Like, seriously, though?
Yeah. There was a teacher in my school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, he was a lesson teacher. And I'll never forget, like, till today, my mother is my hero. Everybody doesn't realize my mother is my hero, because there are different mothers that would have taken it in a very different format. Do you understand? And I remember the first day, like, we're in a situation and, sorry, my sisters are going to kill me. But at the end of the day, one of my sisters mentioned and said, look, this guy touched me inappropriately.
Yeah.
And look, you people, not even 2 seconds.
Yeah.
My mother dropped what she was doing.
Yeah.
My mother was going to meet the uncle and was like, you will never enter this house again.
Yeah.
Did not even question or say, oh, do you know, what were you doing, what were you not doing?
Yeah.
Right. That's the kind of environment we need to make.
What was the day that happened? No.
Yeah.
That's why I said today, my mother is my complete hero.
women are not protected, because I got those questions as well. Like,
right.
What were you doing? What was I doing?
Right.
They just told me, like, I was going to drop me at home in this Chicago. I'm not going to mention who. but it's gonna drop me at home, and it was like, oh, I just need to go to my house to get something real quick. I was like, okay, cool, I'll follow you there. And then before you knew, it was almost trying to literally almost took my.
They would have asked you that. Why did you follow him to his house? Why did you not?
That's
Somebody I've known for years, for like 10 years, well, for like 5 years before that. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like that kind of shows, if I come out now, because now I'm more comfortable with speaking up about it. So if I come out now and say this is what this person did to me, and they decide to cancel him, doesn't mean I'm lying. I don't have any proof that that's what he did. It's in my memory. But then again, there's really no system in place to protect me from that kind of thing. So I couldn't have even talked about it right there and there when it happened.
Well, I have a question, and this is like more like a guy question, right, guys? So I know that I've had these arguments in the past, and I'm very ashamed to know that I even know people like this, where they've talked about, we were drunk, we're all drinking, and the girl didn't really say no, so, she was still smiling and she was teasing me, but when we got to the bed, the girl was not pushing me off. So me, I just assumed that, she was just
joking. Hard to get.
Yeah, so thank you, hard to get, and just did you do. Me, I'm very curious, What do you people talk about? Like, do you people ever have conversation of, okay, what is right, what's acceptable, what's wrong, what's not wrong?
Yeah. Like,
I'm curiously interested.
Do you correct the next guy when you hear this kind
of... Or do you guys talk about these things?
I think people have probably when I likely heard this kind of situation. Do you correct the next person?
So...
Let go.
I will speak on this using an example. And here's the thing, like I'll use an example. I did have a situation back in college. I'm actually trying to look at you. No. Because you know the act.
I want to. Jesus, again.
We spilled the drink again. Why do you put your drink over here?
This time.
What do you people drink? I want to date one. I want to date his age. Because I don't know his age. Hold on. When he said college, I'm like, how old are you? But go back.
All right. Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's going to dry. It's alcohol.
So, okay. In college, an acquaintance of mine. No, like
big
this is a serious topic, so I don't want to laugh.
You know, acquaintance is that friend that you just know. You just know that friend.
But no. Yeah, I mean, at the time, that was when I built a lot of friendships.
Yeah.
Right. So this was someone that like potentially could have been any of some of the friends that I have right now. But anyway, it came up, and it was in jest, like. Blase. There's a particular grip. There's a grip that's done that allows that eventually she opens up and
A grip?
They say grip.
What's that?
There's a grip.
What does that mean?
So apparently there's a way you grab and hold the girl's hand, right?
And then the girl says she likes it.
No, she doesn't. So like this was a conversation that was being had. And yes, like, and we'll say.
I want you to grip me now, so I know if any idiot.
And like, here's the thing, like, we all reacted, like, we all reacted, and that's kind of where I am with with the friends that I do have now. Like, some of them were in that room at the time and in that situation. Now we all reacted, and like again, it's like it was almost like one of those college times, and we're kind of like just talking about experiences and things like that, and that like casually came up. And how casually that came up sort of lets you know, like, I don't know who else he's been speaking to or who else that person has been telling these things to, and or who they got it from, that it's so normal.
Right.
So like those are the kind of things that as a guy, when I hear, oh, this person did this to that person, it's like I don't want to jump into it and say automatically guilty, but I understand like how prevalent this really isn't an issue in a lot of people's minds. Like I feel like people are not going to go around saying look how I murdered this person. Look how I stabbed this person.
Have to
right?
Cancel them because to them it's not an issue. So the society calls them out on.
So going back to the beginning, that's why I say.
Hold on, who raised them? How can I say it's not an issue?
No. To be honest, I'm not even going to lie to you. Like as a guy here, and like people have opinions on what I'm saying. But like I understand, I really do understand, because the culture is, I don't think women, when you hear the discussions that men have, the discussion, I mean the culture really is as bad, or if not worse, than you can ever imagine, right? Like a lot of people don't really believe that they're doing something wrong.
Let me give you my perspective.
Okay.
All right, so for me, this is the first thing I like to tell people is like, I don't know, I can only speak for my friends. I've never been in a situation where my guy will come and say, there's this girl I just raped, or let me show you what I did.
No, they will not use the word rape most
Exactly.
of the time,
So,
right?
I
But
get-
they'll just
Can
be
you
like,
read between the lines?
Exactly.
yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
letting you understand. So,
Yeah.
because I just wanted you to establish what you asked
Yeah.
in that question is there's just no one time that someone will come and tell you they raped someone or they're about to rape
Yeah.
someone. So
Of
in those
course.
cases, obviously, it's
You would
easy
know.
to just say, hey, brah, what's wrong with you?
Right.
So
Can
let's
you
go
read
for
between
it.
the lines, though?
Right. That's part of what. Yeah,
That's
I know.
part of this. So that's why I'm giving this conversation now. So, a lot of times you're put in a position where, or you put yourself in a position where you're drinking and you're drunk, and the lady you're with is drinking and she's drunk, and things go down, and the next day she says, "Hey, no matter what was going on yesterday, I didn't want it to get to sex," and that's where we end up being. So as a guy, knowing those type of situations, all I can do for myself, or if I have to advise somebody, is to say, I have to take responsibility. If the onus is put on me, I take responsibility for my own actions. So the same way I do with driving. I know sometimes I can drink and drive and make it home, but it's very dangerous. You can get into an accident or possibly kill yourself or somebody else. So what you start to do as you mature is tell yourself like, hey, this might be something I shouldn't do to this extent if I know I have to be driving home.
Honestly,
I think
if
that's
you're
the same
drinking-
extent you have to do with a woman, is that if you're in a position where you're with a woman, you're drinking, you have to tell yourself as a man, I can't get messed up where
Yeah.
I can't be cognitive of the things I'm doing. So I think that's an advice I would give somebody else is during that particular situation. This is going along your own example. Now, in terms of just guys, I've been in situations where guys would say stuff like, hey, almost like the example Wally gave, because I've been in a situation where a girlfriend of ours came to say, hey, that guy, you know that guy over there, is that your guy? He kind of touching me inappropriately, and then we have to go meet the guy and
yeah.
check
Oh.
the guy. And that has happened.
Oh, I have a story.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I'm even
That has
upset. I'm
happened
about to
before.
say the story. Because this is,
This person.
God forgive me, it's in Chicago. Do you understand?
What is Chicago men? We used to call them out on Twitter
I'm
and
going to
cancel
say
them.
this
Necessary.
because honestly, like, I remember, like, the guy was touching me. Like, I even had to start avoiding even hanging out with him. Like, any small thing. Oh, hey, Taranina, how are you? Like, and I was like, okay, you know what, you're doing too much. You understand? Like, stop. You know. It now had to come to a point, like, I just stopped hanging around with him. And then I was in a situation when, like, I think it was somebody's birthday
gathering,
party.
yeah.
Yeah. And then one of my friends, because I told him several times, because he was doing all this whole touching thing. I'm like, don't do it, right? He now got upset. Because one of my friends came out and was like, do you hear what she said? Like, stop it. He now got upset and I said, oh, well, when you said it, when you're correcting me, you really were
didn't
not
say-
shouting.
yeah.
You did not vex. And I'm like, but you had me in the first place. Like, are you daft? No. The worst part was that he now sent me one long text message about how upset he is. I just read that text message and I said, God, there's some idiots in this one. Till today, like, we're cool.
But you're not, like,
I'll
you don't
say
see eye to
hi, do you
eye, yeah,
understand?
yeah.
But I'm just like, what the hell? Until today, I can promise you, look, I swear, this guy does not think anything wrong that he has done. Because at no point did he say sorry. So, for me, it's just like, when does it stop?
Yeah. That's why we have the
a lot
cancel
of that.
culture.
So a lot of that is also like a cultural thing, and
Cultural.
Cultural, really.
Ah,
So that
cultural.
live in America.
I-
all this
Most of it.
while.
I'm
Don't
not
say
no
that.
I'm not
Most
like
of it.
before we get stuck
Sorry, I know, I'm
before we get
canceling him
stuck
already.
right before we get stuck
I'm
in that part of what I've just said. Like let me put it
Sorry.
this way, because a lot of times, you know, especially when you're speaking with African men, and if I want to speak more specifically Nigerian,
yes, it was an
Nigerian
African
men,
man, Iro.
right.
Yes.
A lot of times, somehow it's and if we're speaking frankly, we can speak to the other side of it and how it helps this particular culture. But there is this feeling for men that if a woman says, for African men, inaccurately, but for African men, that if a woman says no, it's because she's kind of like fronting.
But they
Explain
just
to
take
me.
a
Actually,
no
I
as
want
a
to
no.
know.
Can I be
explain
with
to
you?
me where that came from.
Here's the
Because
thing.
I'm really
No, here's the thing.
interested.
Here's the thing.
Honestly, I'm actually.
No, yeah.
My shot has
Like, this
finished.
is just too much.
Guys, I
My
need a
mother
shot
has
to this.
This
See,
is
Wale is
too much.
sweating. Me
This
too, I'm
is
about to
too
start
Well done,
sweating.
my man has finished now.
This
Hold
is too
on.
much.
Pour a little.
No, why did you finish your shot?
Okay, all right.
No,
Alright, okay.
no, but before we go,
Dogs.
This is too much. This
Okay,
is
wait,
too
hold on.
much.
Why you pouring for dogs and not pouring for me? You, this alcohol is not cheap, oh.
Well, I
no,
know
it's the point.
you know,
Everybody,
Wale is not cheap liquor.
let's give a shout out to somebody's MC here.
Stokes
What's your last
Kumbo.
name?
Wale Aki, no, that's Stokes Aki. Sorry, Wale Odulate.
Wale Odulate.
I got you.
And I'm giving you guys my sexy voice.
Thank you guys for the shot.
Yeah.
Get him out.
So are we
No, no.
toasting?
So, but on the flip
Oh,
side
okay,
of it,
okay, let's
on a quick flip side, before we even go too far, here we are.
Because I can't do this.
Toast,
Just imagine me.
Jesse.
Imagine me.
Jesse.
Imagine me.
Jesse.
Yeah.
I want to speak on a particular, like I'm very focused.
Yeah,
on
no,
finishing
talk
this
about
point.
this front.
Yes,
seat.
please.
So there's actually Nigerian African women that make it a point to say, hey, can you believe I told this guy no one time and he stopped, right?
Let him finish, Chalani.
You know, the thing is, I don't know if you've heard,
Down
but like
girl.
this is the thing.
Down girl,
Like,
down
here's
girl.
the
Let
thing.
him
Now here's the
finish.
thing. Here's the thing. Me personally, as a guy, first of all, I know is like legitimately that's one of those things. Like I almost, you can even call me a diva in a sense that like I'm turned on by someone's desire for me. So if I have desire for someone and then that person has, that's what turns me on. It's not like I don't care how attracted to you I am. If there's no reciprocation of that, that's just what it is. I'll just continue admiring you. So this is not to advocate for that, but that's where the mentality of these things come. So a lot of times that's one of the things that allows this men or boys or whoever to be able to come out and say this thing like, oh, it's almost like she was, to them it's like I'm telling my friend that this girl was fronting and somehow some way I got her, even if it took some physical manipulation, some emotional whatever, coercion, all of these things to get there. But in their head there is that justification that she wanted it. That's the reason why she came to my place. That's why they ask you questions like, why did you go to the person's place? And again, if we're going to have this discussion, because all of these things I believe are wrong, but if we're going to have these discussions, I think it's the point is to understand where that mentality.
I was
comes
just
from,
having
whether
this
it's right or wrong.
conversation.
Hold on.
I think this goes back to the reason why women need to be heard. I think in a
hold
in a
on, let me
society,
apologize.
that's why Wally called it a culture, and you guys were wondering why he called it. In a society where women are not heard, then mistakes and misconceptions like that will exist.
I think even calling it a mistake, like not to diminish it, let's never call it a mistake. Like it is, you're violating someone regardless of your ignorance of it or all of that. So I don't want to diminish it by calling it a mistake, but the aim here is to like, I think for me, I want to look at solutions. Right, like let's try to find solutions, and for us to find solutions is root cause. This is not the cause for everyone.
The
There's
solution-
still people that are just who they are, and they go around doing it.
If the solution, if the girl says no, even if she's trying to play hard to get, because I was just having this conversation
Definitely.
with someone on Instagram literally yesterday, because I said that I know it's really annoying where a lot of women play hard to get because they wanted to like push more.
can I apologize
When
for
someone
that?
says
Can I
no,
apologize for those
it's not up
women?
to you
No,
to apologize to
it's
them.
not up to you.
It's not up to you. It's not up to
No,
you.
you apologize for those
No,
kind
it's
of
not.
women.
It's not up to you. So when the woman says no, even if she wants to play hard to get, considering the kind of times that we're living right now,
Right.
take her no,
No,
and
here's
walk
the thing.
away.
To really try
Let
to
her
summarize
learn
what
from
you're
her
saying.
foolishness.
To really summarize what you're saying, I would rather be called a lame,
Yes.
or even in many cases
But the
they'll say
problem
you're
is a
gay.
lot of
I'd
guys,
rather be called
they'll be
all
like,
those
oh,
things
just the
than,
tip, just the
than,
tip. A lot of guys
you
don't
know,
want to be
anything
called
else.
just
Right.
the tip. A lot of guys don't want to be talked about here. Dying laughing.
Hold on. That's like high school.
Just the tip.
Sorry, I put my hand.
And to me, let me just say something. If a girl says no, regardless, and you still have your way with her, even though she said no initially, to me that's rape.
That is the definition of rape.
Hold on. What
That
about
is the
husband
literal
and wife?
definition
So
of rape.
no, so I mean like if she says
Husband
no,
and wife,
then, no, I'm saying that she says
definition
no, and then
of rape.
eventually she still opens her leg for you, like, oh, you're pestering me, and you still do it. To me, that's rape.
So hold on, what about
Like,
husband
oh,
and
just
wife
the tip,
situation?
just the tip. That's
I
rape.
had a debate
Hold on, what
very
about
similar
husband
to
and
someone
wife
about
situations?
this.
She's not in the mood.
I can't talk to husband and wife. I'm not married. I would never
No,
talk
but
to
husband and wife doesn't change anything.
So that's what I'm asking. Like, okay, so forget, let's say you're tired. Sorry, microphone. Let's say you're tired, right? And your husband now comes in. Like,
Well,
and say,
I don't know if I can talk to that though, because I'm not married. I've not been in that situation.
so you're married, just be giving it
No,
up,
but
dropping it
I
off.
think you can though.
I've
I
not
think you
been in
can
that
because
I have been in
because
a situation of
wait,
just
have you-
the
have you-
tip.
Okay, boyfriend,
real quick,
boyfriend,
yeah, real
boyfriend
quick.
like a friend.
With your boyfriend, right?
You're in a
Have-
relationship.
Have you been in a situation where your boyfriend wanted to have sex with you and you didn't want
You
to?
didn't want to, and then she's now like forced his way through. Do you think that's rape?
No, but she's not saying force. She's saying trying to convince her.
Right.
Convince,
Right.
yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
And they try to convince me.
And then
Okay.
you
I
initially
don't-
said no, and like you just said, he kind of
I
kept
would have.
pursuing you. He said yes.
I have been in that situation. Would that be considered rape? Because it's my boyfriend. Honestly, I don't know how to answer that question. If I'm being very honest.
I think yes.
But
Ultimately.
this is why when I use the word mistake initially, Wally tried to correct me. I'm saying if Funke is not even sure in this situation, then how would that guy know if he is making a mistake?
No,
or
so
not?
relationship.
So that's
let
where
me let me
that's why I
let
use
me
the
step
word
back.
mistake.
Relationship, because it's almost like I won't really say an implied consent, but relationship I don't know how to answer because I've not had those situations a lot of times. But with someone I'm just talking to, if I'm talking to you and I meet you for the first time, like I've had situations like that where we met for the first time and then you'll be like, oh, try to convince you just the tip. And because for me, like, I don't want a situation where he has to force himself on me and he does it eventually, that's rape. You see what I'm saying?
So as a relationship,
and then again, I've had situations where I have
time.
time. I'll say no to you. Literally, I was up for 7 hours with this guy one time. I will never forget. I have time. I said no. I even wore leggings and long sleeve. Was not angry. That why now we're not this close
so
to
you know
bed.
people
I
ask
said, are you
you,
mad?
so-
no, but people
I
ask
actually-
you, why didn't you go away? Why didn't you walk away from the situation?
Because I was in my hotel room and we went out to the bar to have fun. This was abroad. It was in Hong Kong. I'm gonna go to Hong Kong and be like, oh, I have a problem. How do you
Well,
gonna
that's
understand
why
what
you
I'm
call
saying?
the police.
How is Hong Kong police gonna understand what I'm saying?
I wanted to do. Okay, no, I'm not going to do it. Stop it, Talani. Stop it. Wallen, over to you. Over to you. I was going to make a joke.
I just
but
think,
no, over
Yeah,
to
no,
you.
I
don't
think my
you-
point is,
Yeah.
I think my point is
No.
in general, when a woman says no, just to avoid some certain
So-
situations,
to-
no means no. Just take
to
it.
piggyback on
and
this, I
just
actually
be done.
recently had a conversation with someone about this, and the person's take was, look, I feel like I talked this girl. Yeah, initially she was saying no, but
So they
I
deserve it
convinced
because they talked
right.
her
No, I
into it.
convinced her to doing it, and here's my take, and I agree with you in many ways. And that's why I try to pull back from that. It's from conversations with a lot of people. It's that you don't know what trauma looks like. So you don't know cases where that woman has been in that same situation and she's saying no to this person,
Yes.
and then that person eventually forced themselves
Yeah.
on her,
Yep.
right? So in that situation, she might just be saying yes because she's like, if this is going to be a repeat of the last time, I might as well just
I might
say
as
yes
well
now,
do it. Yep,
right? So that's
exactly.
kind of one of those
Exactly.
situations where.
I
Exactly.
know, women,
Right,
you don't
right.
have to do that. Like,
No. The thing is, you want to say you don't have to do that, right?
But so
you
you're
don't.
in that
Again, you don't know
situation.
what trauma looks like.
Yeah.
You don't know how people react to trauma, right? And so that's why, for me, again, I think the desire has to be like glaring, on both parts.
Yes.
It should not be, unless it's transactional. If you're dealing with a sex worker and it's like, okay, this is what you paid for it, and there's no desire, and you're into that, then that's
why are you
completely different.
dancing?
Because we support sex workers here.
Yes,
right?
because we
Yeah.
support sex workers.
Right.
That's
So
why we're
I just want to
dancing.
establish that.
A hustle is a hustle. Money is money.
Money is
man.
money.
Sis.
But yeah, so that's
Actually,
kind of
you-
like my take in that, right? So because there's such gray areas here, I think, my advice would be to men, to young boys, if there is an inclination of doubt of that person,
Just walk away.
Like just
Please.
walk away,
Because-
and what happens
please.
is if the answer is yes, like if it was that, then
Please.
she will come back
Because
to
Yeah,
it.
the
she
thing
will-
is,
Or the person will come
and
back
they're
to you.
just-
Like,
you'll
you
be
know what I mean?
surprised at how many older guys think that they are entitled to the woman and then they have to kind of force their way. But what people don't realize is that for the woman, even men, I'm pretty sure men go through these things like this to older women or with women in general. This kind of situations is traumatizing. Like, it's trauma. I talk
It
to you about trauma I have had to deal with. I
She'll
deal with for
speak
the
like I know.
rest of my life. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I tell my brothers and they're like, oh, you didn't tell us this happened. Because there's really no situation where it's okay to bring up those kind of things. So it is traumatizing for us. It actually
I know when you
affects our
told me
brain.
that before you
Yeah,
told your
yeah,
brothers,
yeah,
yeah.
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 It's so traumatizing for us. It affects us. And the way the brain works is kind of like weird because
Yeah.
every experience you're having kind of develops the way your brain works in general. And it's like when you see some women doing certain things, like for me, it's really hard for me to fall in love with somebody. Why? Because of experiences I've had in the past. It's because my brain has kind of developed into that. You get what I'm trying to say? So if a woman says no, see, I'm getting too deep here. I'm sorry, but I feel like it has to be said.
Look, that's what.
It
Here,
has to
let
be
me
said.
let you know. This is the point of like the shot for the inhibitor.
Yeah, because now that I'm
right?
drinking,
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
"Ooh,
So like,
put
let
it
it all
up."
out. Let it out. Let it out. Let it
So
out.
now, so the thing is that like if the woman if the woman says no, just take that no and walk away.
Yeah.
Because it's so traumatizing. Even my brothers, even till today, like I remember when there was this situation of I think it was some 3 girls in Nigeria that were raped and killed, and we're talking about it in my house, and they're like, oh, why are you so passionate about it? Has this happened to you before? Yes. They didn't even know how to react. Because it's like there's no system in place for us to have a voice. You
Yeah,
see what
I
I'm
mean, yeah,
saying?
I mean,
there's
I got-
nothing
yeah.
in place. So,
Yeah.
like my brothers, they didn't even know what to do, and it's kind of unfortunate. Like it makes me feel bad because my mom passed away recently, and I wish she said the kind of things I talked to her about before she passed away because maybe it might help me with my trauma for this kind of situation. You see what I'm trying to say? Even with sex, like I don't orgasm just because of this kind of trauma that I've had in the past. You see what I'm saying? So if a woman says no, just for the sake of her and her future for the rest of her life, just take that no.
Even for
and
his own
walk
sake.
away
Come
with
on,
it.
it's not by
Even for your own
force,
sake.
yeah.
If you start calling
Yeah.
men out, like the guy I was talking about in Chicago, if I start calling him out right now, people will be like, oh, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, no, you do deserve to be cancelled because you put us in a
Yeah.
position where,
Yeah.
you know, we're not...
Yeah. Like, just be respectful. Like everybody, I always used to say this. Just think about if it was you. Think about your sister.
Your sister,
think about your
yeah.
mother. You know, how would you want to be treated? I think that's what people forget. Like we just need to be kind. We need to be respectful to one another. And that's what most people
Point
don't
is,
do.
I'm all for the cancelling culture because it protects us.
Yeah.
I think it protects us. It protects the woman. It really, really does.
So-
Because even the banter we're talking about, I was in a situation in the first place where the girl could say that she raped him or he raped her, Jerry. Like,
Allegedly.
Now,
Allegedly.
stop
no,
it. Stop
so,
it.
So having a real conversation and just to put things out there, right? Now, when you say you're with the cancel culture, and again, I think it's like I want to establish that I support that. But what I want to put out there is the consideration of how technically, now we'll discuss the emotional side, but technically easy it is for someone to be able to say, hey, this happened to me years ago without burden of proof and without...
But if the man
this
didn't put
and
himself in that position in the first place, the girl wouldn't say it. You do realize that?
that's the thing. I
So
don't
don't,
I
so
don't I don't
don't,
know.
so
Like
don't.
so
Let me
like
finish.
let's speak on so here's the thing. There's been and I don't want to talk about percentages and I don't want to talk about like, you know, because ultimately like I don't want to gaslight the situation as well. But there's been cases where women falsely accuse men of rape.
Mostly black men. Sorry.
You know,
Pro-black.
so yeah, and then you know we're speaking to you as
Yeah.
black men, and this is not to like divert the attention
white
away
women,
from what
mostly
it
black
is.
Men. I actually have a situation like that where the boy literally was an upcoming football player in his school. This just happened like in November, and his career is just ended just because
So
the white
hold on,
girl
so-
said.
so- so
she-
is it-
apparently she consented, but she
No, but
said
Funke is a
she
218.
didn't.
Like I always tell people, it's a 218. If I'm in a situation where I've been drinking alcohol, I always make sure, even if I like the guy, trust me, even if I'm horny, right?
That's part of it. Let it out.
You know, exactly.
Women get horny too. Normalize that shit. Normalize that shit.
I'm done with it. It's very important that I have to walk away from the situation. So for me, I get what you're saying, right? But I think it's a two-way street, right? The guys also need to know they don't need to do it. The women also need to know that they need to walk away because alcohol, and I'm not saying that, okay, the woman is wrong and I'm placing blame on the woman.
Right.
But the woman also needs to know that, okay, all right, alcohol can make you do things that you would not necessarily want to do. So maybe when you've drank, take 2 steps back and say, you know what? I don't need to do this today.
So I can be real with you. I'll speak on the opposite side of that.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, I'm you know, like I understand sometimes situations where you'll say, I'll give you my own example. For example, like when I go out, sometimes I'll say, hey, you know, I don't want to do too much today. I don't want to like.
Does that always happen, Wale?
Wait. No, I'm talking about do too much in terms of.
Lassie.
I know, like in terms of spending money, maybe like I just want to have a quiet night out, and then when I go out, a couple drinks in the system, and I, for the most part, like I go off of energy. So the energy of the people of the night, if it requires to like do more, if someone says, let's go to Atlanta right now, and Atlanta sounds like a good idea.
You buy the ticket.
Like, let's do it. You know what I mean? I'm
the same way.
Right. So
We
it's,
move.
so it's easy. It's easy to say. And then the next morning, when I now look at the bills and the commitments that
Yeah, I know.
I've made,
I
I'm
know.
like, shit.
I'm the
yesterday was
exact
supposed to be
same.
like an easy night. So like, I'm making
Hold
like.
on, that's it. Like, even when we're going to the $50, do you not just look me in the left eye when your bill was $30? Iro, sorry.
No, yeah.
I
But
still have-
I'm making light of the
Yeah.
I'm
situation.
the same way.
You guys have to let me land on this point here.
Sorry,
Because I know-
sorry,
I'm not laughing because
No.
I'm the same way.
But my point here is that
You
like
kept
I can
sticking
understand
in.
how you can say, you know, as a woman, once you've had 2 drinks, pull back.
Yeah.
Because I've told myself
Yeah.
in those situations, like, hey, you know, when you go out there and you start drinking, everything becomes gold for you, right? So maybe like chill,
Yeah.
and then I'll go out the next day. Maybe I might do well 2, 3, 4 times out, but I'll go out the next day and that happens, right? So I'm not saying don't like preach that, but those kind of things in when someone has been raped, those kind of things, like when people say that, it's part of the culture that stops them from coming out, right? Because now you would think that, oh, everyone already told me that when I drink 4 or 5 times I should
Agreed.
take
I know,
my
fair
step
point,
back,
fair
and since
point.
it didn't happen and then this happened to me, then now I can't
Now
really
it's
speak
my
on
fault
it because
kind of
everyone's
thing.
going
Yeah.
to say we
Yeah.
warned you,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of where that what you're saying, you know, it comes off logical, but that is the mentality, if that makes sense. I hope
I agree with you saying.
right. So that's the sensitive part, and it's tough. Like all of this is really tough. Like even, you know, as from the outside looking in, and someone that's trying to come in and say, oh, like how can we even start? Like it's tough. I don't even know when to speak. I don't know when to speak on these things. I don't know when to keep quiet. I don't know when to like maybe put a loudspeaker on someone else's voice, right? Like if you say it now, I want to like spread that, but like I don't know that I can say it because one, there's this whole everyone allyship, men being feminists, and right, and like you don't know who to trust and all of that. Like so, I don't want to center myself in any of this. I legitimately believe in equal rights for everyone. You know, like what we talk about. Thanks for the clap.
Everything you mean.
No,
Even in
Yes,
bedroom.
it means a lot.
no, yeah.
Rabbi,
Like
it means a lot when a Nigerian man
ex-girlfriend-
says
my
that.
ex-
Yeah.
Ex-girlfriend.
Yeah,
Oh, let's
and
say
like
she's
really
on
clear
Hey,
about
guys,
what-
back guys to the chat for the Inhibited. This is Tokes, the program director. We talked about a lot of stuff today, from rape culture to cancel culture to what makes guys do inappropriate things and stuff like
We
that.
also talked a lot of air.
And we did a whole lot off air, and
Let
so
things out. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I did make I made a reference earlier in the conversation where I said some guys make mistakes or misconceptions, and what he said, there are no mistakes. So it brought me
That's
back.
not what I said.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
you bring it back, right?
Well, yeah, I'm going to
replay.
I'm going to
You
rewind
replay it,
and
but that's
play
not what I
that
said.
clip. Yeah. So it brought me to a conversation when we were off air with Tolani, and there was a point in the video which I was trying to look for also, where Tolani was talking about Wally's taco meat.
No, that was not me. That was Funke.
That was
Excuse
me,
me,
guys.
sir.
That was
Like,
me.
don't
That
on.
was me.
When
It
that
was
starts,
Funke.
it
And
was not Funke.
taco meat is the
I
hair
let-
on his chest.
Hold
FYI.
on, hold on. First of all,
Allegedly.
let's talk. How is that taco meat?
Because taco meat is ground beef, so it looks like the hair on his chest.
You, that's how grand people look
So,
like.
please
Hold on,
continue.
let's see.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Somebody's MCM.
Yeah.
Continue.
So Funke was talking about Wally's taco meat and was touching Wally's chest.
Yeah.
So I told
Which, just to clear up, I gave consent to.
Did you like it? But hold on, she didn't ask you
like it,
first.
though?
She didn't ask you.
Let's just point it out that there was consent.
Okay, all right. He liked his
We'll move on
actions.
from there.
okay, so I was saying that if at some point Wale looked at Funke's ties and said, you have some nice ties, and touched it could automatically become a problem. And I was saying where these misconceptions come from is when a guy and a girl are together, there's this feeling you get, the mood that has been established throughout that day or that date or whatever. And the example of that was her touching his taco meat. So he felt comfortable enough to do that, and he was okay with it. So at some point, it will make him feel like, hey, I think her thighs look nice. Let me just touch her thighs. And a guy can make a similar action. This is just an example, so I'm not...
So are you saying that? Okay.
No, I'm giving you an example because I'm trying to tell you that most of his actions is based on how the mood of the night went.
Okay.
So I'm trying to say there are cases where guys just go and smack a girl on her butt and she didn't want it. That's a different conversation. But I'm saying a conversation where a guy felt like, hey, this is how we are. We've gotten comfortable with ourselves to some point. That was just one incident. There are other things that could happen during the day that can give this guy this type of confidence. And I'm saying that, yes, now if Funke finds that inappropriate and tells him and says, hey, nah, don't do that. And that he'll get it from that point on. I think, I guess I read too much into this. But I'm talking about instances where she doesn't say no. She's immediately offended and feels the guy did something inappropriate or assaulted her. And I'm trying to say that, can she now understand that how the night went and what her actions earlier, how that can play into his actions, and that's where the misconception or mistake can come from.
So let me speak on behalf of my friend before she speak on behalf of herself. Do you understand? Because my friend is a reasonable person. I think in every relationship that she has had, do you understand? You've always been, I guess,
very vocal.
Diplomatic,
Yes,
in terms of
yes.
your fault,
Yes.
and do you understand
Very,
what
very
is
open,
that person's fault.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate the fact that not all women are like that. Do you understand? All women, let me not say most. Some women, for somebody to come and kill me. Some women, right, will be like, okay, all right, yeah, but it's different, I touched his chest, it's different, it's a powerful man, women are, low in the totem pole. Like like I said to Talks, like, during the break, I think it's very, very important. If you don't like something, maybe, for example, like, let's say I was the one who went to go and touch Wale's chest, right, and he touched me inappropriately and I didn't like it. If I don't like it, I'll immediately say it, and I'm not going to take it personally, I'll move on. I didn't like it, I moved on. But I understand that everybody's not like me. But me, I'm fighting for the fact that women need to be vocal.
Vocal, yeah.
You need to say what you like,
and what you
say
don't
what
like.
you don't like.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can always come back. I mean, I understand where you're coming. I really get what you're saying because, okay, all right, forget that to Talks.
Like apply
sorry.
to him.
Forget that to Wale.
He didn't do it to me,
to him.
Yeah.
He didn't do it to me,
Sorry, to Wale. Sorry, Wale.
Just to add something to what this is, because I think generally, even though generally that makes sense, let's throw in a different dynamic into it. So in a lot of these cases, there's some kind of power dynamic as well, right? So let's say it's a boss and a secretary, or it's an employee, or it's a customer that's getting good customer service from maybe a banker or someone in the service industry, and they now choose to interpret that as advances, and they decide, like, in the middle of your work, they decide to, like, try to kiss you. I think it's important to separate where we're, like, those two things are different. Like, so it's different when you're on a date with someone, and then, like, being on a date with someone, or being in a place where there is a real chance of a romantic interest, then making a move in that situation is completely different from, say, you have someone like you have a subordinate, for example. She comes to your office and you close the door and, like, be assertive.
No, but I mean,
different situations.
But I'm saying in any situation, do you understand? And this is me empowering women, because that's just purely because of who I am. If it's not working for me, I'm gonna tell you. Like, let's be straight up.
I get that, but see, the thing is, that's on your plate.
But I'm trying to empower women to be like, if it's not working for you, do you understand? If a guy touched you inappropriately, you didn't like it.
So, but there are situations where women would say now that they froze, and then in some
agreed.
you freeze.
Agreed.
So it's not a chance that and then later on, maybe you're in bed and you're thinking, I should have said no.
Agreed.
I should have said stop.
Agreed.
Right? So it's not just saying, oh, like, I'm empowering you, right?
Agreed. No, 100% agreed. But and I know it took me time to come to the point where I'm saying no, and I'm saying, okay, this is what I'm worth. Do you understand? And there's some days that I still sleep, because I mean, we've all fallen short of God's glory. Do you understand? For lack of a better word, I'm not perfect. But at the end of the day, it's always just a constant statement that people have the option. Women, y'all have the option. Say no, And if you want to say yes, say yes. Nobody's going to hold it against you. But at the end of the day, hold on to your belief. If at the end of the day you were drunk and you felt, okay, they need to be on it. If you weren't drunk and, like, I mean, whatever it is, whatever your answer is, you're fine.